How we doing, guys? Welcome to DT's Daily. Now, on today's show, we're going to be talking about Jordan Henderson because he's moved to Ajax with his tail between his legs. We're going to be talking about Troy Deeney, who's been sacked after 29 days. And we're also going to be talking about Arsenal because apparently there's a move for Karim Benzema.
How we doing, guys? Welcome to DT's Daily. That's right.
So the first place we're going to start is Jordan Henderson, and his 6-month stay in Saudi has ended. I think we could have seen this one happening. Apparently he left Liverpool to move to Saudi to change everything, to grow their football and to show how great it can be. 6 months later, you are back with your tail between your legs and you've moved to Ajax. And listen, let's just get straight to the point here. Okay? Jordan Henderson left to Saudi for money. By all accounts, he ain't actually getting any, but he left because of money. He never went to Saudi to try and improve the football and to raise its profile and everything else. He moved for money. It's not worked, and he's come back with his tail between his legs. Hasn't gone to anybody in the Premier League, and he's gone to Ajax. It's really that simple. Let's not sugarcoat it. Let's not sit there and try and make it sound a little bit better than it is. He went for money. It hasn't worked. He's come back, and that's it. The end. Do we need to say any more? No. Next piece of news. And I'm going to speak about this briefly. It's Mo Salah. He was playing last night for Egypt in the African Cup of Nations, and he was forced off with a hamstring injury. And Liverpool will be looking at this very worried, because if it's a serious hamstring injury, then not only is his tournament for Egypt over, but how long will he be missing for Liverpool? And will he be missing for some really crucial periods? And he's such a big player, not just for his country, but for Liverpool. And it could literally derail everything that they've done so far this season. It's not an exaggeration when you say it, because he's that big a player and that important that if you lose him for big games, it's a massive, massive loss. And Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp, they'll all be sitting there this morning waiting for reports, and they'll obviously be speaking to team doctors with Egypt and whatnot. And it's one of those ones as well, because this is a tournament, not like a qualifier, those kind of international breaks where a player's gone for a week and a half. They are so fixed on these tournaments, they're so wanting to do well for their country, that if a player is still only 75-80% fit, they normally take the risk. They take a gamble and play, and ultimately they go and do themselves more damage. And Mo Salah obviously loves playing for his country, won't want his tournament to be over, and if he feels that it's just a little niggle and he can kind of get away with it, they'll probably play him. And the problem is with hamstring injuries, it's not like an impact injury, or like you can't get away with it. If you're feeling it and it goes, you're in big problems. And it's going to be interesting to see, what happens, what the diagnosis is, and what happens, from here. Next piece of news involves Troy Deeney, and he has been sacked as Forest Green manager 29 days into the job. 6 games, 3 points, no wins. And I don't actually know if this is one of the most shortest managerial appointments. But it just hasn't worked out. And I think we've all seen the videos over the last week. Troy is a very outspoken person. I know him personally. And listen, what he said it is what it is at the end of the day. Sometimes players need a little bit of harsh reality. I think that maybe in the cold light of day, he wouldn't have been so scathing in public. I think maybe behind closed doors, I think that may be something that he will learn moving forward with the managerial side of things, that sometimes the world we live in now, you can't be as ruthless. You can't be, so out there, because the public are outraged at everything that we do now. It doesn't matter whatever happens, they're outraged. There's somebody that will be offended by something. What he said 10, 15 years ago was the norm. It would have been like, great manager, getting into the players, giving them a kick up the backside and all that kind of stuff. Now, it's like, well, you can't do that in the public eye. You can't call out the players like that, etc., etc. Behind closed doors, listen, loads go on in football, trust me. But, yeah, just in the public eye, I think that may be something that Troy takes on moving forward, and what he does with his managerial career and stuff is just what to say and not to say. And listen, he's an emotional person. He's very passionate, wears his heart on his sleeve, and he will say it as it is. And yeah, it's one of those. And I think because of the backlash, maybe Forest Green have kind of reacted and said, this isn't what we want. And it's just a bit too much on the club and everything else. And that's ultimately probably why he's got the sack. And they're in a really, really difficult place. Bottom of the league, look like they're falling out of the league completely and going into the National League. They dropped down into step 1. They're only 5 divisions above my team, who are in step 6. So that's how close things are. But listen, at the end of the day, it hasn't worked. I've no doubt he'll get back into managing, because that's obviously what he wants to do. And where he ends up and what happens with his managerial, career, we'll see. Last piece of news involves Arsenal, and reports over the last couple of days of Karim Benzema coming on loan to Arsenal for 6 months. Another player that's out in Saudi at the moment, scoring goals. Hasn't had the worst of seasons. He's doing all right. He's scoring quite a few goals, got some assists and everything else. But the opportunity for him to maybe come to the Premier League and everything else, but he's 36 years old. I don't doubt for 1 second what Karim Benzema is as a player, what he's achieved as a player. It's only a couple of years ago that he's winning the Ballon d'Or. But 36 years old, the wages, coming in and trying to adapt to the Premier League and its pace and its ferocity, it just doesn't sit with me. I don't see this happening at all. This ain't 2013 when Arsenal were linked with him and there was talk that Arsenal were going to sign him. Okay, that was 11 years ago. Okay, that was a 25, 26-year-old Karim Benzema. And like I said, he's 36 now. I just cannot see it. And it's always the same in transfer windows with Arsenal. When you need a player, or there's talk of a player that Arsenal need in a certain area, then every single name imaginable becomes available. I'm surprised Thierry Henry hasn't been mentioned of coming out of retirement and playing alongside Ian Wright and Dennis Bergkamp. That's what it's like at Arsenal, that, everybody looks around and says, is there someone out there? What could happen? Etc., etc. Would he move from Saudi and come to the Premier League for 6 months? Would they allow that? Would it happen? The wages. And listen, it ain't going to happen. In my opinion, it's just not going to happen. Karim Benzema coming to Arsenal, I cannot see it for the life of me. I genuinely cannot see it. If you can, wow, give me the lottery numbers. Seriously, because it ain't going to happen. Not in my opinion. It's 10 years too late. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, Karim Benzema, the footballer, his achievements and everything else, unbelievable. Could he come to Arsenal and still score some goals this season? Yeah. You know, he'd probably score more goals than the players that we've got there at the moment. But it's just too much of a risk and gamble, and it just doesn't seem to fit into what the ethos at Arsenal is at the moment. That's my opinion anyway. So I can't see it happening, but let me know if you think it will. So listen, there we go. That is it for today's DT's Daily. As usual, let me know in the comment section what you think about today's topics. If you're new around here, hit the subscribe button, smash a like on this video, and I will see you lot soon. I'm out of here.